specific to retail media, there is no doubt that there is a trust problem in the industry.
Cara, thank you so much for coming into the Current studio again. This is your second time here. Welcome.
It's great to be back. Thanks for having me.
So last time we talked, you were at a different company in a different role. Tell me a little bit about Circana and what are you focused on right now?
It is awesome to be at another incredible company. I've been really privileged to have opportunities to drive change in dynamic industries. So at Circana, I have responsibility across our global retail organization, as well as our global media solution horizontal. And as I think about the opportunity and responsibility we have to help retailers and brands understand consumers and market shifts and take action really deliberately, this is a phenomenal place to be.
You've had, I think, such an incredible view of retail media and retail data as it's evolved. What changes are you noticing at this point in time?
Well, with specific to retail media, there is no doubt that there is a trust problem in the industry. Frankly, one of the most disappointing things is the fact of where we are right now, where there is not trust in the efficacy of a dollar invested. Absent rebuilding trust on the measurement side, this industry is going to slow down on growth. And I think that there's a very performant dollar that can still get invested, but we have to set a new currency for measurement standards. And as you can imagine, I believe Circana can play a role in that.
This has been on my mind, is the industry's tendency to orient around price, sometimes at the expense of orienting around value.
Yeah.
Does this get to the heart of what you're saying? What do you think is behind that trust gap?
There are inconsistent methodologies, there's inconsistent data standards, there's inconsistent delivery, there's just a lot of inconsistency, and so it is near impossible for a brand marketer to look with consistency and continuity about how dollars are returning business results, business outcomes, when you look across the magnitude of retailers in the ecosystem. And so this is one of two spaces that will have the biggest disruption in retail media and the trends of retail media. The other is agentic commerce. And as you think about, there's reputable sources that are talking about $1.7 trillion is going to be spent through agentic commerce. The disintermediation that brings within the retail environment, not just on ads, that's a fact, but the distance that the retailer then has with control and owning the relationship with the consumer will drive very different behavior. So those are two spaces that we're eyes wide open and looking to help shape and elevate and influence decisions for the marketplace.
It's so interesting, as someone who's covered the advertising industry for about a decade, at one point I think MMN almost fell out of favor. It was seen as going by the wayside, but it's something many marketers are talking about it now. What do you attribute that shift to? And are we perhaps thinking about it with a new lens?
It's so interesting you say that, because it did fall out of favor for a little bit of time. There was a big push into MTA, multi-touch attribution, as that worked forward. There was a big focus on just lift studies and understanding this point in time. MMM didn't ever completely fall off. The utility started to wane a little bit as there was some interest in some new methodologies, new approaches. I think that's healthy. I think it's really healthy to be able to look around corners and understand different measurement techniques in influencing the investment choices. If there's one thing we know, the dynamic nature of media, particularly with how much is moving digital, addressable, the flexibility that advertisers are seeking, that means that we need to make sure that we've got an always-on view to help tune, if you will, investment choices over time. You can see over the last couple of years, the big heavy weights against upfronts have started to turn back because brands want flexibility. We have a tool that we brought forward. We're in the midst of bringing forward. We're about 60 days in, called Liquid Mix. And that is a self-serve marketing mix that we're turning responses for tuning future investment patterns within hours. Wow. Think about that. Instead of these big, heavy, annual, semi-annual, max quarterly turns that are happening within marketing mix, you get all the value of marketing mix, but you can run it in near real time, and then you've got the flexibility within the investment choices.
It's interesting you say that, because I think something I heard really frequently during this particular upfront season, and perhaps it's because of the economy to a degree, but is that need for flexibility. I think we've really come to a place where we can't set it and forget it for a year, semi-annually.
That's right.
The need is there, and so the innovation comes.
And near real time matters, right?
Yeah.
Because oftentimes you are 6 months in arrear, and at that point you've already planned the next 6 months.
Yeah.
So this is where, again, the suite of solutions is going to be a really powerful complement to really start to change behaviors.
Making sure that the next 6 months is informed by the last 6 months.
That's right. Or the next 6 weeks is informed by the last 6 days, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the speed of change,
Yeah.
right? We've got to go from months to moments and make sure we've got the right capability right in front of us.
Love it. Cara, thank you so much for taking some time to come in again. It's always a pleasure to talk to you.
Likewise. Thanks, Stephanie, for having me.